Welcome back to the Beattitudes mini-series where we talk about the Sermon on the Mount and we cover Matthew 5:5 today. So Matthew 5:5 says, "Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth." And when we think of someone who's meek, we want to translate that into someone who's gentle, someone who is able to control their strength, who knows their authority but doesn't take advantage of it, who knows their power but doesn't use their power to show off who they are. And one of a good example would be Jesus. You know, when Jesus was walking the earth, when he was going into different cities and healing people, people were not happy with that. People were judging him, people were trying him, tempting him, trying to get him riled up. But even though Jesus knew who he was, even though he knew that God lived in him and that he had the Holy Spirit, he knew what he was capable of. He instead chose to have a controlled strength. Even though he showed who he was, it didn't get out of hand. He didn't blow it out of proportion. He didn't pick fights. He didn't say, "Oh, I'm better than you," or "I'm more able to do these things," but rather he did what he was called to do and left it at that. And as Christians, that is something that we need to continue to hold dear to our heart, because the Beatitudes that he is listing, the Sermon on the Mount, is essentially almost as if it's the fruit of the Spirit. There are things that we need to carry with us as in order to receive the blessings, because he starts off saying blessed. When you receive a blessing, it's because you're in the will of the Lord. It's because you're walking with the Lord. It's because the Lord sees you. He knows you're favored. Another thing for blessed is spiritually prosperous. You're fortunate. You're one with the Lord, but you can't be one with the Lord if you're not walking on the path and you're not going based off of what the Lord has called us to do, right? So he's telling us, favored are those who are gentle. Favored are those who can control their thoughts, and their strengths in certain situations. Yeah. So when you're blessed, what I see, or what I was seeing when I looked into it, was receiving an impartation of a blessing from God. So when you think of impartation, it's often associated with distribution of spiritual gifts, which you can find in 1 Corinthians 12:7, and also the transfer of authority and leadership. So think Moses to Joshua to lead the Israelites in Numbers, Elijah to Elisha, and then also Jesus to the disciples. So when you're meek, when you're gentle, when the Lord is able to trust you to carry his gifts but not use them for the wrong, but rather use them for the good, he will then give you the things that he wants to give you, which one of them is to be able to inherit the earth. So we have to think, what is meek? Meek is someone who shows the traits of the Holy Spirit, having temperance, which is self-control. Meek is having controlled strength and humility, not always feeling like you have to show or prove who you are. So once you get over that pride, once you get over the thought that you're better than someone or that you're higher than someone, when you really become poor in spirit, which we talked about that in Beatitudes 1, then you're able to really see and be who God has called you to be. So one thing that I want to leave you off with is, as you get a little bit deeper into the Sermon on the Mount, in Matthew 5:14-15, just think on this. Jesus tells us that we are the light of the world, and that a city that is set on a hill cannot be hidden. When you're walking with the Lord, when you're doing the things that the Lord has called you to be, your light shines through. His light shines through us, because we're one with the Lord and the Lord is light. Just remember that the Lord has created you to be a light, not to be someone who dims other people's lights. As you continue to walk this walk and, run this marathon, it's not a race, but it's a marathon. As you continue to move forward, just remember that your light shines bright. Nobody can take that from you and nobody can dim it. Therefore, do not react the way that the world would, but rather react the way that Jesus would. Use his examples, and use what he did. The Bible is a template. It is a step-by-step guide on what to do. But that's Matthew 5:5. Be gentle, be controlled in your responses, and you will inherit the earth. You will inherit the possessions that the Lord wants to give to you. Don't just think earth, but the possessions. What does God want to give you? It doesn't have to be earthly things. It can be spiritual things. But any gift that's being given from God is a gift worth having, whether it looks like in real life here on earth, or it's spiritual. A gift is a gift. So Thank you so much for watching. I pray that you are blessed by this series, blessed by the word, blessed by the sermon that was on the mount, and continue to take it with you as you walk throughout this journey. As you walk this life, continue to hold these things near and dear to you, and remember to be gentle. I love you all. Thank you so much for watching. Tune in for next month. Pastor E is going to be touching on Matthew 5:6. So this is a series that we're doing for the next 2 months, and it's going to be continuous, and we're going to continue to break it down the best way that we can, in the way that the Holy Spirit gives it to us. So anyways, love you guys. Bye. Thank you for watching.